into the bus. What do you think about the JFK assassination? What happened? What are your views on it? Whether it was a conspiracy or whether it was the action of a lone gunman?
Well, the attitude of the American people was shaped by the Warren Commission and others who claimed that Lee Harvey Oswald was the killer, and he did it from the sixth floor of the book depository building there in Dealey Plaza in Dallas. Now,
right.
I got very friendly with a doctor who was a member of the Birch Society, and he was a member of the society when that happened. He was stationed at Parkland Hospital where the body of John Kennedy was taken, the already dead body. And he would go around and he would talk to Rotary clubs and Kiwanis, whatever, wherever he could get an audience. And he said, if you believe Lee Harvey Oswald killed John Kennedy, you didn't see what I saw of the body of John Kennedy. All right,
let me ask you a question. What's that doctor's name?
Doctor's name was Dave Stewart.
So was he in the emergency room, or was he
in
just
the emergency room at the time? He saw the body when it was brought in. He said Kennedy was killed by a bullet that entered the front of his head, blew out the back. And that's why Jackie Kennedy was up on the back of the limousine fetching the piece of head that had been blown out of John Kennedy's skull.
Right.
So Dave Stewart, I said, Dave, you're absolutely certain about it? He says, yeah, absolutely. No problem at all. Dave Stewart has passed on now, but I got friendly with him, and I met with him on several occasions. He was a wonderful guy, good doctor. He had moved to Tennessee, and that's where he was living. Here's a copy of the Lebanon, Tennessee newspaper, and I don't know whether you can read that or not.
Oh, sure.
He says, JFK shot from front, speaker tells the Rotary. All right? Here's a picture of Dave Stewart and the head of the guy who was the head of the Rotary Club at the time.
Right.
So all right, Lee Harvey Oswald eventually said that he was only a patsy, and 2 days later, he was killed.
Right.
And the story went on and on that Lee Harvey Oswald, there's no way that he could have killed Kennedy from the sixth floor of that window in the.
Yeah, but wait, John, let me give you a little pushback here. I'm not a Marine. They practiced, and at that time they did also, firing at that time an M1 rifle from as far as 500 yards away to the target. That was only like 83 yards. Why was that such a tough shot? The car wasn't going very quickly. It wasn't swerving. Why was that such a difficult shot to pull off?
Well, people who are gun enthusiasts, many of them have told me it's an impossible. It couldn't have been done. He had to station himself. He had to twist his body. He had to fire to the right with his gun in his right hand, and it just didn't add up. And the fact that he said he was a patsy and that he was murdered almost immediately after he had said that certainly lends great credence to the theory that Lee Harvey Oswald was indeed a patsy.
Well, I mean, you don't think he was a fake defector, do you? You think he really was working for the CIA?
I think he was a very confused young man. He had been stationed in Moscow. He joined the communists when he was in Russia. He was kind of a poorly trained American, I guess you could say. He didn't know the difference between communism and Americanism. He was a perfect patsy to have been.
Well, I mean, people will push back on that and say, "Well, listen, he told so many demonstrable lies." And that's what Vince Bugliosi says, going back to the time when he met his wife, stating falsely about his age and a number of other factors.
That's right. He was not a very admirable individual in many respects. I agree.
Yeah, but what about let me ask you a question. Did the John Birch Society people ever have any opinion about whether or not he did take a shot at General Walker?
Yes. Yes. It was Lee Harvey Oswald who did take a shot at General Walker.
And how is it that why is it that they believe that he did take a shot at the general?
Well, you're taxing my memory a little bit here, and that happened before I was in the Birch Society. But what I know of it is that investigations were conducted, and it was determined that it was Lee Harvey Oswald who did that.
Sure.
And tried to kill General Walker. So